Hey, everybody. Welcome. Trash Talk. Look, it says right there. See? Just in case for those that are dyslexic or whatever, we print it there so that you know. And we got the original can behind Brandon, and that's
Yeah,
the original dumpster that we had as our first logo because what does the number four mean to you, Brandon?
I don't know. I don't like trick questions. I don't want to play this game.
Yeah. Four
The four
years. Four
Rick.
years we've been doing this show.
Oh shit.
As
That's
of
my relationship.
as of today, four. I think this is the longest relationship you've been in.
It is. I feel like I should end it soon. Just to keep with the history of things. These days it's like 4 days, but 4 years. Holy, the four horsemen.
Four
Um,
4 years. You realize that's over 200 episodes
it is.
that we've done. We've talked about
200,
amazing.
200 episodes, 2 million cups of coffee,
Yeah.
uh, 1,000 reschedules, 100 trips to the coffee shop because we can barely schedule that. Everything that happens.
And what our listeners don't know is it's probably about 200,000 restarts because the microphone doesn't work or there's something wrong with the camera or we got to sign out, we got to re-log in to get going.
Oh
It's
my!
it's been
Every,
it's been a wild ride.
everything that's gone. There's been episodes where I've been in the car.
That's right.
There's episodes where Stuart was in Florida. There was an episode where I think I was on my patio. I didn't even hide it. I was like, I'm on my patio.
Yeah,
You know,
you've done indoor, outdoor, like you said, several you've done from the car, sitting
yeah,
in the parking lot at work.
yeah, parking lot at work, parking lot at Starbucks. Like, it's crazy because again, and I'm not going to like keep every year going back to what we always talk about, but when the idea popped up, I remember the email I got. I didn't even get a text. I got flat out email. I wasn't even on the texting level. And you said, "Hey, I got this idea. When you got a few minutes, let's talk."
Yeah.
And I have the email saved in my trash talk file. And I got an idea for a show, and I was like, okay, COVID's here. I ain't doing nothing. Let's roll because we started it with COVID. We I think we were into COVID. We weren't sure how much longer it was going to last, but it lasted a while because whatever. And we were running towards the end of 4 years. Yeah, we were in. Okay, so COVID was still a thing, and I
Yeah.
remember talking to you. I called you up, sat on my patio, and you're like, "Hey, looking to do this show." And my first thing was, "How am I going to fit this in?" Even with COVID,
Yeah.
I,
Your plate was already more than full.
because at the time, obviously Luke was a lot younger. I mean, he was 4 years, so he was three. You know, um, 3.5 or whatever, about to be four. We, I
No,
was living in one.
he was younger than that. How old is he now?
Well, he'll be seven in about a week, two
Oh,
weeks.
okay. So he was around three. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, wait a minute. By the time this airs, no, he won't be seven yet. Okay. So I'm really confused, guys. Um, so
That's why we started the show.
yeah, we were living in a one bedroom apartment. So I had to time out the recordings where, okay, is he napping? Um, and I wasn't sure what your plan was. And then I was like, I'm doing my show. I was doing my blog, and then I was doing God, I had like 15 other podcasting things going on. I was going live over here. I had something going with my buddy David Harvey. I was on Wisdom wasn't around yet, but it was coming. And then I forgot that really cool app we all were on for a while there, meeting everybody, and then it kind of fizzled away.
Yeah.
Still, though, today, though, that app, Nick Luck, one of my closest buddies, we've never met. um, I love that kid, that kid, whatever. He's 20 something. He's a kid. And actually, I don't know if he's 20 something, but And then we were doing so much, and you said, well, I got this idea for trash talk. And I'm like, cool, we're going to talk trash. I can do that every day. And you were like, just random topics, open format, whatever we want, 20, 25 minutes tops. Granted, we go over.
Yeah.
And I was, all right. And you're like, we can knock out 3 or 4 at a time if we have to. And there we go.
And it's interesting. I keep a list of every show that we've done, and I
It's
mean
called Spot.
we've talked a lot about coffee,
Well,
because like this time of the year when we get closer to Halloween and all the pumpkin spice comes out, then that's what you're doing already. You know,
I'm a basic white girl right now. Um,
lots of shows about food, food preparation, foods that we like. Um, One of my favorite shows I was going through is we did a show called For the Birds. And talk about we just talked for 15 minutes about birds up on the wire and how there's thousands of them and people come up to the four-way stoplight and honk their horn and these birds and we talked for 15 minutes about birds on the electrical wires.
I remember that show. That was an early show that we did. And I remember we talked about just how obnoxious the birds are in Texas,
Yeah,
and how they wake you up at 2 a.m. and they never go to sleep. Because that's still this day one of the weirdest things I can't. Well, we did a sex ed show, remember?
yeah. We've done a lot of shows about travel, truck stops, Buc-ee's, fast food places, donut shops.
Donut shops, movies, sports. And what has kind of transpired? I remember in the very beginning we said, look, we really don't want to be heavy. We can be passionate about the subject, but we don't want to be heavy
Right.
because at the time, especially, I mean, I don't think it's gotten any better. There's so much heavy information. We just want to be 20 minutes of entertainment, thought provoking in an entertaining way. And then as things progressed every now and then, because that's just who you are, who I am, we would be like, let's dive in and throw a little something out there. And I think that's really how the show has evolved, because I think if we just kept it the same, eventually, is it going to lose something? Are we going to get bored? And it's already hard. I'll be honest with you. It's hard to record.
Right, right. But and of course, there have been those breaking news stories that have incensed us that we've gotten serious about it and we've heard about it. Some people would write and say, "Man, you guys talk seriously on your last show, and that's so unlike you." And and my answer was, "That's not unlike us because we'll attack anything or anyone."
That's true. We have bashed several individuals and groups, and you
Sure.
know
We've been banned in many countries.
we have. I would have put this together, but I thought it was up to 7, and that's, guys, that is not a lie. Like, that is actual, factual, true stuff. Banned, and to me, that's how you make it. Now my goal is to be banned in certain states. If we can do that in 2025, we have won.
Right, right.
So, but I love it. I love talking about. I love when it's funny because Stuart will hit me up with a bunch of episodes. He's been way better about it than I have. Although this last round, I was firing some off. I was like, here you go, here you go, here you go.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm mentally fried for the last 6 months. But he'll fire some off to me, and I'll be like, no, we already did it. Nope, I don't like it. We already talked about it. And there's like 3 of them he sent. I'm like, no, we already did it. And he's like, yeah, but it can do a different twist. I'm like, nope. I don't like repetitive episodes. I'm very weird about it. And it's hard after 200 episodes to sit there and go, what do we got? But it's cool because sometimes I'll get an episode from you, you'd be like, hey, let's talk about if we had money, would we buy a boat? And I'm like, okay. And then it turns out to be just a super fun episode, and it works out.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes it'll be something in the news that I'll jot down. Sometimes it's just a random thought. We did a show about what do you like to put on your pizza. I mean,
Oh,
and we just went off on the tangents about have you ever tried this and that. Uh, I think, and also a couple, at least a couple of times a year, we do a show called This or That.
that's
Uh,
fun.
and those are always a lot of fun too, because again, we don't talk about it in advance. I just put down a list of things and I say, okay, would you rather be in a hot climate or a cold climate? And we just think off the cuff about what would that mean to us? And
Yeah, and we've talked about expanding the show to do different, I to do like go somewhere live and do it. And I would love to do that. And it never works out.
yeah,
And then when we together, I'm like, I don't want to do a show. Like let's just hang out, talk, and maybe we'll do a little clip or something, but let's just hang out or talk, or I think some of the fun things too are like the things that kind of happen outside of this that spawn these ideas. I remember about a year ago, maybe longer, I gave you that pickle beer to try,
yeah,
and that spawned into a beer show, or I gave you the Christmas cookie beer, which is actually good. And then that spawned into what's your favorite Christmas treat, and it's kind of or holiday treat or just treat, it's kind of fallen into some really cool things and I think like we change it enough to where it's fresh, but we're not adding something that we're not. And I think a lot of podcasts do that. They're like, well, I'm just going to add this, this, and this, and it's like my show. I've this year added way more videos to my show, way more. And I like it. But I also really am old school and I enjoy not being in front of the camera all the time when I'm recording. It's not that I care if the camera's on.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
want I just want to sit in my jammy jams, like I don't want to have a green screen behind me. Like I'm going to tell you right now, there are times that I have recorded my podcast, or especially like when I got the guys over and we just did an episode. I put the microphone down in the middle. I have this really cool thing that you can plug in. It's got like 4 different microphones to it. I don't want to do that. I plug a microphone in the middle. We're drinking beer. I'm in my sweaty swimsuit.
It,
You know, I don't want, you know,
just
I'm over
shout
here.
over each other.
I'm over like Tony Soprano, just ball it out. Um, So I don't want to do that. But that's why I think when we do this show, it's so different from me and my other podcasts. Like all your shows have cameras, like you are on camera, you know. Um, I do the live stuff like on TikTok and all. So when I do my show, I like to not always be on camera. So this is really fun, and it's given me it's a different view.
And we've had a few guests.
We have
Travis Patton Sr.,
before.
we've had him on our show a couple of times. We did have Nick Luck as a guest on our show.
Yeah, I want to get Nick back soon. Uh, Number one, that dude is just cool, and he is just one of the most talented individuals I know.
Yeah.
This he has made for me and my son, um, like it's awesome. And it, being talented and being creative is awesome. Being creative is great, but it seems like most creative people, and I like to throw myself in that category this much. I can't draw for crap, so we all know that. But
Yeah.
what creative in the way I think, and we procrastinate more than anything in the
But
world.
what he does with graphics and art and everything, you do with words because you create a lot of things in words and in conversation too. So
Yeah,
that's a form of art.
yeah, and that's why I like Nick because we're both different. And when he was on our show, we talked about zoos. And that was just a fun conversation. So we've had Nick Luck on, we've had Travis. Are those the only 2 guests we've had? I know we've tried several others and they fizzled out. Um,
We were supposed to have a young lady that you had met, and
yeah,
you reached out to her because you connected with her, and we had invited her to be on the show, and the invitation
yeah,
went back and forth, and it never happened. So I mean,
Jesse.
we'll throw that out there for those of you that have followed this show, especially anybody that's followed our show for 4 years and everything. Drop us a line and maybe we'll just get you on one of the shows and find out what your thoughts are about Trash Talk.
That young lady's name was Jessie. I'm not going to say her last name, but I mean, I could. It doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
I won't. Yeah, I had her on my show. We connected through TikTok or Instagram, one of the two, and I just really liked what she talked about. And then she looked great. So those are two great things. And I reached out and said, hey, man, you want to do a show together? And she's like, because she was following me. And she's like, yeah, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, who cares? You know? And she's like, I love it. And we did it. And I think she was out in Wyoming or something, some snowy place. And that episode was one of my highest downloaded, listened episodes ever. I think something just recently beat it. But I had so much fun with her. And we decided we're going to do this on a regular, like once a month. I thought it would be cool.
Right.
Instead,
Yeah.
just do once a month. And I said, hey, you want to come on Trash Talk? She's like, yeah, I love it. She started following Trash Talk. Unfortunately, some things happen with her. She's fine, but I think it was in her best health interest to pull out. I drop her a line occasionally, and I might hear back from her a couple months. To me, you just meet those people and you connect. And even though they're not here and maybe you're not close, you still want to just keep throwing that line out,
Sure.
So if there is somebody out there, though, like I know we were going to have the guys from the Notes and Goats podcast on, Brandon and Steve back in Michigan, but I know Brandon's got super busy, Steve's super busy, and their show's been on pause for like 8 months now. I don't know if it's coming back. I talked to,
Yeah.
But
and it's interesting because you have guests on your shows and I have guests on my other shows. And sometimes we say we'd like to have those people on Trash Talk. And then we stop and think about it. But what is Trash Talk about? It's really unscripted. And so maybe that's one of the reasons. But hey, anybody's welcome to join us on the show. Just write us and say, hey, I'd love to do it.
I think for 2025, I think our goal, we've been on Travis Patton Sr.'s show, the
Right.
one thing I love Travis, and I hope he knows that. I'm sure he does. I blow him up all the time with random nonsense. But he's never been on The Life of an Average Joe, ever.
Oh, really?
And that's thing that I need to really lock down for 2025. But I listen to a show. I don't get to catch it when it comes out. I'll be honest. I don't catch yours when it comes out.
Yeah.
I catch it 1 or 2 weeks later and I go back and then I go, okay, cool. Let's do this.
That's the beauty of being able to record the shows and then archive them so that people can watch them at their leisure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too.
But Travis has been an amazing, amazing supporter, friend. He's just part of the crew. If he was closer, we'd all be hanging out.
Absolutely right. Absolutely
and
right.
I'll never forget meeting him when we did a podcast-a-thon. And it was a literal, I say all day, it was like 6 hours of different people podcasting 20 to 25-minute clips. And that's how we met. And here we are. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah. And he has expanded his show to invite guests in too. And he's gotten some pretty edgy people. We have shared some of the same people that I do on my Someone You Should Know show. And Travis Patton Sr., his show is called Tell Me Something Good.
And he hasn't changed. My cat just yelled at me. He hasn't changed who he is, much like we haven't changed who we are, but he's expanded. And that's how you survive in this industry.
That's right.
We don't have followers. We don't have, Joe Rogan money, but the consistency is what builds. The YouTube channel might not be blowing up, but you combine all the different platforms that we are on and our social media and you combine that and you look at what Trash Talk does and you're like, oh, look, when 600 people view a 3-minute clip,
right,
that might not take a lot for the 20-year-olds out there, on Instagram 24/7 or on TikTok 24/7. but 600 people, and you just posted a clip an hour ago, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you gain those followers. So, man, it's fun, man. And it's been a fun ride. Yeah.
And we'll keep on doing it. And folks, since we are getting brain dead and having trouble coming up with subjects to talk about, you're welcome to drop in some of your ideas too. And
Do.
and say, why don't you guys handle, well, I think we did a show on roadkill. I don't know why that came up into my head, but I thought, why don't you do a show about roadkill? Oh, sure, fine. What,
Sure.
ready? Turn the cameras on. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about anything. So, and I think we've talked about everything for 200 episodes already. So we got to start sharpening our pencil and coming up with some new ideas.
Yeah, good ideas, guys. But big thing is, thank you for your support. Continue to support. We love feedback, both positive, negative criticisms. We don't care. We want to hear from you. If you want to be a guest, you know where to reach us. We got 1,000.
Right.
It's not hard.
That's right. Just reach out to it. Name of the show is Trash Talk, and we're here for you every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Go out and make it a good one. See you next week. Bye.